Chapter 706. Come again. The blow was too heavy. Zhao Yuji thought the words, steamed bun, don't be so rushed, was some sort of tactic aimed against him. As a result, he became wary of steamed bun and stepped back an extra 2 times to dodge a low-leveled skill like strangle. In return, because of these 3 steps, he ended up placing himself in a position that was within the range of that battle mage's spear. Dragon breaks the ranks. Zhao Yuji was certain that if he hadn't dodged this attack, he would have ended up in an even more miserable state than he was in now. However, because he dodged it, he stepped into a path fraught with high-leveled attacks. Heavenly Lightning, Earth and Fire, Crimson Storm, and 2 formless Phantom Blades. Elementalists stacked intelligence, so their magic resistance was decent at best. However, of these 4 high-leveled attacks, only Heavenly Lightning dealt magic damage. The other 3 purely dealt physical damage. Elementalists had low health and weak defense. After taking so many high-level skills, he was practically at death's door. This was just the damage dealt to his character. Zhao Yuji had taken a heavy blow to his mental state too. Those words, steamed bun, don't be so rushed, brought a calamity upon him, and now he knew that Yi Chu was just commenting on steamed bun's usage of tyrannical chain punch. Zhao Yuji finally realized that, in the eyes of his opponents, he wasn't as intimidating as he thought he was. He thought that defeating 10 players by himself was something within his capabilities, so he dared to challenge them directly, but it turned out that 10 players was more than enough to deal with him. God Yi Chu had only cast 2 heals so far and his hazy scene was already almost dead. God Yi Chu even had the time to stand off to the side and give steamed bun pointers. Yi Chu didn't even seem to be looking in his direction at all. Zhao Yuji was furious. He felt like he shouldn't be receiving this kind of disdain. Wasn't the reason he fell into this tragic situation because of those sudden words? Wasn't it because he misunderstood those words that he retreated 3 steps instead of 1? If he hadn't taken those 3 steps, he wouldn't have been forced to teleport away from that dragon breaks the ranks. Everything was because he misunderstood those very words. Zhao Yuji was upset. He refused to admit defeat in such a way. Although he didn't have much health left, nor could he see any chance of victory, he still had to prove his strength. He had to make these guys understand that their reason for winning wasn't because he wasn't good enough, but because they got lucky. These 4 attacks failed to kill Hazy Scene. He still had a chance. Zhao Yuji made his decision. His right hand firmly grasped his mouse, and he turned to look at the brawler and enlightened lord. He would win back his pride through these 2 players, but at this moment, Zhao Yuji suddenly felt something coming from behind him. Before he could turn around to look, Hazy Scene suddenly flew out as if he were gliding across the ground. He obviously wasn't making these movements. Zhao Yuji saw the magic undulations coiling around his Hazy Scene. He hastily turned his viewpoint to see that the Heavenly Lightning, Earth and Fire was slowly beginning to fade away. In the middle, the figure of a person could be seen. However, the figure was growing smaller and smaller because his hazy scene was being pushed farther and farther away. This figure had a spear with magic undulations shooting towards Hazy Scene's direction. Battle Mage, Rising Dragon soars the sky. After 4 high-leveled skills, a 5th one finally came. Zhao Yuji hadn't expected it at all. Relying on the visual effects from other skills to hide was originally what he excelled at, and now he had fallen for such a ploy. Bang! Rising Dragon soars the sky crashed into Hazy Scene. This skill was a 2-stage attack. The first attack dealt physical damage and the following explosion would deal magic damage. After taking the brunt of 4 high-leveled skills, Hazy Scene didn't have the health to survive this. Rising Dragon soars the sky. F***CK, Zhao Yuji slammed his keyboard, but that couldn't stop his screen from turning gray. From his ghost's viewpoint, Zhao Yuji saw those guys glance at his corpse. None of them took much interest in it. On the other hand, they were much more interested in the items that had dropped from his corpse. After picking up the dropped items, they immediately left without staying for even another second. Contempt. They were absolutely treating him with scorn. Did those guys actually think they beat him so easily by chaining 5 high-leveled skills? Stop. Don't leave, Zhao Yuji shouted. However, Ghost couldn't speak. No matter how loud he shouted, he couldn't explain to those guys about this misunderstanding. Besides, telling them about the misunderstanding with his mouth, it was as if he were looking for some sort of excuse. Zhao Yuji didn't want to do that. He needed to prove it with actions and not words. Revive. Zhao Yuji moved his cursor to click on the revive back at the city option. Right when he was about to click on it, he suddenly thought of messaging West Riding Wind. Howling Heights should be here soon. If he had the clerics revive him, he would save a lot of time. By the time he revived back at the city and traveled back here, the battle might already be over. Zhao Yuji also didn't know which city this character had set its revival point to because he didn't even think he would die, so he had never checked his character info page for such information. He didn't click on the option and moved his cursor away. Zhao Yuji hesitated. Reviving here naturally saved a lot of effort, but when West Riding Wind arrived and saw his corpse, wouldn't that be too embarrassing? But then again, if he revived back at the city, he wouldn't be able to cover up his death anyways. Hazy Scene's red stats were proof. In this instant, Zhao Yuji hated how glory reduced experience and stats upon death. In any case, he wouldn't be able to hide it, so he made his decision and waited. West Riding Wind led his troops over to the coordinates. On the way over, he told everyone how Zhao Yuji was truly skilled. They would need to rely on him in the future. When they got near the area, West Riding Wind didn't see Heavenly Justice fighting the boss like he had imagined. West Riding Wind had his second thoughts, when one of his players shouted, "Hazy Scene." "Where?" everyone asked. Finally, they saw a corpse on the ground. Zhao Yuji died, someone cried out in astonishment. At this moment, none of them said the character's name. They all said the name Zhao Yuji. It wasn't strange to see a character dead, but Zhao Yuji's character dying was something worth being surprised over. Was he discovered? West Riding Wind paid a silent tribute as he told a cleric to revive him. White light scattered and Hazy Scene stood up. West Riding Wind looked at his screen and opened his mouth. He wanted to say something, but he didn't know what to say. Hazy Scene didn't wait for him to speak though. After standing up, he quickly rushed in a certain direction. The clerics were still hastily healing him back to full health, but he didn't care. West Riding Wind didn't dare to be slow and immediately told everyone to follow him. Zhao Yuji knew his knowledge was outdated. No signs of Heavenly Justice fighting the boss could be seen in the surrounding areas either. Zhao Yuji couldn't find them, but he didn't say a word. He continued to move forward. West Riding Wind thought he knew what he was doing and had his troops follow him closely until the system announced, "Congratulations Heavenly Justice for killing Gladiator Vitalives." The players from Howling Heights were instantly dumbfounded. Not just them, but when this announcement came out, all of the other guilds in Dalaki Stadium were stunned. Because this announcement told them, the boss battle at Dalaki Stadium had come to an end. The guilds often fought over bosses, so they wouldn't continue fighting just for this boss. The previous second, they were locked in an intense battle with the other guilds. The next second, the announcement came out and everyone immediately put their weapons away, clearing the field of any pieces of dropped equipment. The only person who didn't stop was Zhao Yuji. It was as if he hadn't seen that announcement. His Hazy Scene continued to search the stadium. He clearly didn't have any interest in the boss. He only had one thought on his mind: those guys needed to know that his death was a one-time mishap. Little Zhao, the boss has already died. West Riding Wind thought he didn't see the system announcement, so he immediately gave him a reminder. Zhao Yuji ignored it. After passing over a wall, he finally saw Heavenly Justice, who was happily laughing and cheering. Zhao Yuji didn't have any regrets towards not finding the boss just a bit sooner. He only felt gratified that he managed to find them. Look, it's that guy. At this moment, Heavenly Justice noticed Hazy Scene standing on the stone wall as if blocking their path. The laughter gradually died down. Everyone turned their heads to look at him in confusion. Yishu also saw him. He had Enlightened Lord walk over until he wasn't too far away and greeted, "Little Zhao. The boss is already dead. Did you not see the announcement? Try again next time." "I'm not here to look for the boss," Zhao Yuji said. I'm here to challenge you guys. I want to fight against the same 10, Zhao Yuji shouted. Oh, Yishu understood what Zhao Yuji was thinking and grinned. "It seems like you're not happy about how you died." "Yes. Let's go again," Zhao Yuji said. "Another 10, Yishu asked. "Correct. That number's too small. How about 100 instead?" Yishu asked. Chapter 707. Unrelated Boss. How about 100? Such a shocking reply left Zhao Yuji speechless. Let alone 100, he didn't even feel confident fighting 10. During the period of time while he had been dead, revived, and all throughout his pursuit of heavenly justice, Zhao Yuji had been thinking about the previous fight. Had he really died from those consecutive high-leveled skills because of the unnecessary 3 steps that he had used to dodge strangle? If he hadn't stepped back 3 times and instead only stepped back once, what would the outcome have been? If Dragon Breaks the Ranks still went through, it would just be a difference of 2 footsteps. If he hadn't used teleport, would he have been able to escape from that high-leveled skills area of effect? He wasn't sure. The speed of Dragon Breaks the Ranks depended on the character's stats. Zhao Yuji also understood another point, perhaps the chain of high-leveled attacks had been arranged because he took 3 steps backwards. If he had only stepped back once, perhaps the chain of high-leveled attacks would have been set up differently. If that were the case, the result would have been the same. Zhao Yuji wasn't sure though because there were no ifs. Zhao Yuji wanted to challenge them again because of this uncertainty, but at the same time, he got rid of his initial nonchalant attitude. He decided that he would put in his all against them starting from the very beginning. However, the other side proposed a 1v100. Was that a joke? Are you joking? Zhao Yuji asked in the end. He thought about it. He didn't think it was an embarrassing question. Someone who dared to challenge 100 players alone was someone who didn't play glory. Oh, if you don't dare to, then it's just a joke. If you do, then it's not a joke. We can start right away, Yi Shu said. It's not that I don't dare, but don't you think that kind of victory is pointless? Zhao Yuji said. Of course it's not pointless. Your equipment's pretty good, Yi Shu said. Zhao Yuji wanted to cough up blood. That guy really is here to snatch bosses. Does he think I'm some sort of boss? Since he wanted an account, West Riding Wind obviously wouldn't be stingy. His set of equipment was top of the line. Everything from top to bottom was orange. For a club guild like Howling Heights, getting a character with a full set of orange equipment wasn't difficult. The quality of equipment that he dropped really would like those dropped from a boss from one perspective. The value of his equipment was worth more than a dungeon boss too. Dungeon bosses didn't have a 100% chance of dropping orange equipment. On the other hand, his hazy scene had a full set of orange equipment. If any of them dropped, it would definitely be orange. Zhao Yuji didn't know how to reply. He wanted to challenge them, but the other side was thinking about the issue in a completely different manner than he was. Before, the other side wanted the boss's material. Now, seeing him, they wanted his equipment. In the end, they didn't care about his strength as best rookie. While the two sides went back and forth, West Riding Wind and Howling Heights troops caught up to him. Zhao Yuji received his messages, but didn't reply to them. Zhao Yuji seemed to be looking around still, allowing West Riding Wind to more or less guess his intentions. This best rookie died and wasn't happy, so he came to get revenge. West Riding Wind sighed. Pro players really did care more about winning and losing to an opponent than losing equipment. Ah, young people are so impulsive. You're chasing after them, but they have an entire group. How are you going to fight all of them? West Riding Wind thought. Zhao Yuji was a part of Team Wind Howl though. How could he not be concerned? Thus, he immediately brought everyone with him and chased after Zhao Yuji. From the looks of it, he really had gone and challenged Heavenly Justice. That enlightened lord, who was supposedly God Yi Chu, was standing in front of Hazy Scene. Were they going to fight? West Riding Wind sized up Heavenly Justice's troops. Their numbers were about the same. In terms of equipment though, the elite group of Howling Heights held the advantage. There was no boss to fight, so it would only be a PvP. Truthfully, no club guild wanted their elite troops to clash. However, a pro player from their team had rushed forward to the front lines, so he couldn't just sit around and watch. Even if he didn't order anything, the other players from Howling Heights might not be able to stand still. They were still loyal fans of the team. Zhao Yuji winning the Best Rookie award made him a very popular player among the fans of Howling Heights. Little Zhao, what do you plan on doing? West Riding Wind calculated, while asking Zhao Yuji his intentions. The materials dropped by the wild boss have already fallen into their hands. Guild leader, have you never thought of taking those materials back from their bodies and making up for our losses? Zhao Yuji suddenly said. A rookie may be a rookie, but he wasn't stupid. He wanted to prove his strength, but he didn't care about what type of environment he had to prove it in. The other side would have had a numbers advantage, treating him like a wild boss. Trying to prove his strength in that kind of situation was a bit too difficult. Fortunately, his guild had just arrived. Zhao Yuji didn't mind starting a huge battle. In any case, the person who would stand out the most would still be him. Zhao Yuji was a pro player, yet he wanted to show off his strength in this type of environment. West Riding Wind felt a bit disdainful towards his intentions, but even though he couldn't hear absolute certainty in victory from Zhao Yuji's words, he could at least tell that Zhao Yuji felt like they had enough players on their side to win. What could West Riding Wind say? Even if Zhao Yuji hadn't given such a poor reason, if he had just said, "Let's fight," West Riding Wind still couldn't refuse such a demand. Fighting alongside a pro player was something very meaningful to team fans. If West Riding Wind told everyone to leave and let him play on his own, he reckoned that quite a few players would definitely have objections. If news of that spread, even more players in the guild would be unhappy. Haha. That makes a lot of sense. If they took the drops by killing the boss, then we just need to kill them and take those drops back. West Riding Wind obviously wouldn't pick out any flaws in that sort of thinking. He just went along with what Zhao Yuji said. It seemed like today he would need to accompany him. In the guild chat, quite a few players were already cheering. As expected, many of them were very excited to be able to play alongside Zhao Yuji. This could be seen ever since Zhao Yuji had logged onto Hazy Scene and was introduced to everyone. Your helpers finally arrived, Yi Shu laughed. You snatched away our boss. Did you really think that you could escape so easily? West Riding Wind truly was a good person. He simply kept going with Zhao Yuji's reasoning. It wouldn't have been the first time and it won't be the last either. If we keep doing this every time, wouldn't you find that very annoying? Yi Shu said. Truth. West Riding Wind sighed. How could he not understand that sort of reasoning? That was why competitions for wild bosses had unwritten rules set in place, because if everyone did this 74 times every week, everyone would be stuck in an endless war, day after day, year after year. As a result, if no extremely disgusting behavior occurred in the fights for a wild boss, when the boss fell, everyone would instantly turn over a new leaf. The large guilds had fought countless times. They had pretty much seen everything there was to see, so doing anything extremely disgusting wasn't easy. For example, they had pretty much already put aside everything that had happened today. West Riding Wind was currently cooperating with Zhao Yuji about a matter of the past. When he heard Yi Shu's reasoning, he felt a sort of connection with Yi Shu. He had the heart to lead this troops over and stand alongside him. Of course, he couldn't actually do that. He just humphed coldly. In any case, they were going to fight. Saying anything more would be pointless because West Riding Wind knew the reasoning he gave was just pretense. Zhao Yuji wasn't fighting because of this reason anyways, so why keep talking? Sparks were already flying between the two sides. At this moment, a bunch of people suddenly excitedly ran over to Heavenly Justice, asking, "What dropped? What dropped?" Guild Parade. West Riding Wind saw the guild's tags on these guys. Before he could respond, a bunch of people thundered in from behind him. When he turned to look, it was Conquering Clouds. Conquering Clouds was clearly very surprised at Howling Heights being there. They immediately halted their footsteps. The players crowded over and quickly crammed into the path that Howling Heights had come from. Two other guilds had arrived so soon after. Radiant must not be too far then. The next second, Radiant arrived. The direction that they came in from didn't block Howling Heights' path. Even though they saw Howling Heights there, they weren't too surprised. The boss had just died. Howling Heights lost. Maybe they were cleaning the battlefield? That was what would happen under normal circumstances, so no one paid too much attention to Howling Heights. Only Conquering Clouds was surprised for a bit before making their way forward. However, Howling Heights was blocking the opening in the wall. Conquering Clouds went over and kept saying, excuse me," as they pushed past. Parade's guild leader, Martial Awareness, and Radiant's guild leader, Whitestream ran over and asked impatiently about the drops before seeing Conquering Clouds stuck over there. The two guilds suddenly jeered, "If you don't hurry up and come, you won't get your share." Everyone, wait. It's not over yet, Yi Shu finally said. What? Howling Heights has expressed their intent on not letting us go so easily, Yi Shu said. Conquering Clouds was still trying to squeeze through Howling Heights. Parade and Radiant started hollering even louder. This was their difference with Heavenly Justice. Even though they were relatively small, they were still club guilds. Heavenly Justice had only taken its first step into the professional scene. They still didn't have a proper perspective of all the bosses. Howling Heights lost the boss and wanted to fight for revenge. They thought it was very normal, so they weren't surprised or anything. They prepared themselves for a battle. On the other hand, the other three club guilds heard Yishu's words and suddenly went into an uproar. That wasn't rational at all. Why did Howling Heights still want to fight? What's wrong with them? Their gossiping spirits started to come out of hiding though. Everyone, let's not make such a fuss. Yishu spoke again. This has nothing to do with the wild boss. The real reason is that their best rookie was bullied by us. He must be one of my long-lost relatives. West Riding Wind was about to cry. It's like God Yichu can see through me. Why do his words always move me so deeply? Chapter 708. Angel Wings. Best Rookie. No one in Conquering Clouds, Parade, and Radiant had heard Zhao Yu's self-introduction earlier, so when they heard his name, they were obviously quite surprised. Zhao Yuji. Where? Quite a few people shouted. Even though they weren't fans of Team Wind Howl, award-winning players always attracted a lot of attention. Very few fans of Glory wouldn't know their names. Zhao Yuji liked the attention, but his current circumstances just weren't quite right. He was still thinking about the words Yishu had just said. Bullied. That was his image in the eyes of those guys? What had he become? Being bullied and being defeated were two completely different concepts. He was a magnificent pro player, the best rookie of the season. Him, bullied? Zhao Yuji couldn't tolerate Yishu's wording, so he was unable to appreciate the attention from the surrounding players at the moment, but how was he supposed to explain it? He couldn't think of any excuse to use as a cover. In the end, he would still need to fight to prove his strength and let everyone know that he definitely hadn't been bullied. After West Riding Wind sighed at how God Yichu could see through everything, he realized that, after those words were said, even if their guild was at an absolute disadvantage facing 4 enemy guilds, Zhao Yuji definitely wouldn't retreat. Moreover, West Riding Wind also had a better understanding now of why Zhao Yuji went to look for a fight with Heavenly Justice. Perhaps it was because God Yichu showed such a nonchalant and disdainful attitude towards him, and this proud best rookie wasn't able to bear it. As a result, West Riding Wind grasped Zhao Yu's intention to battle. In this battle, victory wasn't the most important part. He needed to prove his strength to everyone. West Riding Wind didn't want to accompany Zhao Yuji and prove their guild's strength, but things had already reached such a stage. They didn't have any path of retreat either. Their elite group had a good deal of fans and many of them were furious at Yishu's mocking words. Zhao Yuji was even angrier and shouted, "Stop with the bullshit tea." That's Zhao Yuji. Several players found him. There was a distinct gap between Hazy Scene's position and Howling Heights' other players. He didn't come out on his elementalist, Beautiful Light, someone asked. Beautiful Light was the character that Zhao Yuji used for official matches under Team Wind Howl. An account for a rookie usually wouldn't be very good, but it was still better than many other accounts in the pro scene. It was worthy of being given attention to. However, Hazy Scene was just some character that no one had heard of before. Zhao Yuji was only controlling this character. These kinds of situation didn't usually feel very realistic for most players. The situation's a bit complicated. Should we try and break through the encirclement? West Riding Wind messaged Zhao Yuji, asking him exactly what he had been planning on doing. As of now, the 4 allied guilds were gathered together. Fighting them head-on would only end in an utter slaughter. In this kind of situation, breaking through the encirclement was the most rational and normal decision. And after grasping Zhao Yu's intentions, West Riding Wind also understood that Zhao Yuji wasn't seeking a death match. He could show off his skill in this way too. That kind of outcome would be good for both sides. However, there was also an even more important point. West Riding Wind hoped Zhao Yuji wouldn't think of. They were the ones who proposed the challenge. If they wanted to leave, the other side might not make things difficult and just let them go. An encirclement was also a bit far-fetched. If Howling Heights didn't plan on fighting them, then the other side didn't need to surround them, no? West Riding Wind hoped that when they broke through the encirclement, the other side would hit back a bit and then allow them to quietly leave. From how God Yi Chu saw through the last two issues, West Riding Wind was certain that, if God Yi Chu didn't want to fight to the death, then when they broke through, they would have a tacit understanding of one another. Charge. West Riding Wind received a reply from Zhao Yuji. He wasn't sure what that meant exactly, but he didn't have any time to ask, one because Zhao Yuji had already started moving. Hazy Scene waved his staff and pointed forward. From what West Riding Wind saw, even if they were breaking through, it seems like they were choosing the most forceful way. Hazy Scene fired his magic at Enlightened Lord. Fire was perhaps not the most appropriate word. A better word would probably be draw. Elementalist skill, Ice Line. A line of ice would form after a 1-second delay wherever the magic drew past. If a player touched the line of ice, there was a 100% chance of being locked in a 4-second freeze. That line of ice would also stay in effect for 12 seconds. The cast time for the spell was only 3 seconds. In other words, however many ice lines were formed within those 3 seconds depended on the user's hand speed. It was undoubtedly a powerful skill, but one thing of note was that the magic could draw through a position, a player or an NPC. In other words, it wasn't possible to directly draw a line through a character's body and freeze a character in such a way. The line of ice could only be left in the environment. After the line of ice had been formed, the player or NPC had to touch it for the spell to take effect. While drawing the magic, if the magic hit a character's body, the skill would be interrupted. Hazy Scene waved his staff and magic poured out continuously. Ice had already begun forming wherever he pointed. Everyone could instantly tell that he was drawing ice lines. However, the speed of the lines being drawn showed everyone that he truly was a pro player. Under the lead of Zhao Yu's fast mouse movements, those ice lines were drawn at speeds which the ice nearly couldn't keep up with. Quite a few players wanted to have their characters run into the path of the magic and stop the spell, but their character's movement speed couldn't match the magic's animations. Moving one's mouse faster than a character could run was something anyone could easily do, but moving it so precisely was naturally much more difficult. Zhao Yuji had undergone specialized practice. He drew quickly and accurately. He didn't impatiently aim at Yishu's Enlightened Lord. First, he drew lines to block off other players from interfering. As for Yishu, he watched the path of the ice lines carefully and quickly leapt backwards. Too late, everyone thought. Enlightened Lord's movement speed couldn't compare to the speed of Zhao Yu's ice line. The huge difference made it easy for everyone to determine, Enlightened Lord would definitely be separated from everyone else because of the ice lines. Just when they were thinking of this, Enlightened Lord jumped in place. They didn't understand why he jumped in place, when the ice line suddenly changed paths. Everyone thought that the lines would keep going, cutting Enlightened Lord off, but the ice line suddenly curved. Everyone thought that this sudden curve was completely pointless. Then, 2 holy lights suddenly blossomed from behind Enlightened Lord. The 2 holy lights exploded out to the left and right. Enlightened Lord rose up in the air, but didn't come down. Cleric skill, Angel Wings. The visual effects for this skill were incomparably beautiful. The 2 wings behind Enlightened Lord were formed completely out of light. The brightness made it difficult to look at directly. Even the clothes on Enlightened Lord became blurry from the contrast, as if he really were an angel descending from the heavens. However, in comparison to the gorgeous visual effects, the skill's usage was extremely simple. Everyone could see it right now, it let the character float in the air. The character could move around, but the character could only stay at a certain height, unable to rise any higher or descend until the skill's duration ended. Why is he using angel wings? Everyone was puzzled because, even if he used angel wings, he still wouldn't be able to escape from the prison formed by the ice line. If not, why would this spell be so troublesome? Otherwise, they could just jump over the ice line. The height at which the ice line formed couldn't be determined just by looking at them. After thorough testing from players, it was known that there was a limit. However, there were no methods to directly leap over the limit of the ice line. The limit was found by testing the skill at different terrain heights. In practice, there wasn't really a limit. No could understand the reason for the sudden casting of angel wings, but before anyone could think further, angel wings was cancelled. Enlightened Lord suddenly dropped down. The ice line formed by Hazy Scene passed by him. However, none of them went past Enlightened Lord's back. If the ice line had failed to reach past Enlightened Lord, it meant that the lines failed to block Enlightened Lord off from everyone else. Now they understood why Enlightened Lord made those actions. Enlightened Lord's coordinates on the map didn't change with that jump. However, his vertical height changed. By switching positions, he was blocking Zhao Yu's cursor. The lines were drawn by holding the right-click button while moving the cursor. As long as this were happening, if the cursor touched a character, the skill would end. The players were trying to stop the spell by reading the movement of the ice line. They naturally wouldn't be able to keep up with the speed of the lines. On the other hand, Enlightened Lord's jump was made by determining where Zhao Yu's cursor position was and then changed his position to bump into Zhao Yu's cursor. As a result, Zhao Yu's ice line suddenly curved. Afterwards, Enlightened Lord floated in the air for a bit with angel wings and then quickly fell. These actions were probably done after determining the path that Zhao Yu's cursor would take. This exchange between two pro players was on a completely different level from anything normal players like them would ever experience. They only understood one point. For God Yi Chu to be able to execute such a method meant his familiarity with glory had reached the greatest of heights. By looking at Hazy Scene's position, he could imagine the screen that Zhao Yuji was looking at. Then, by looking at the movements of the ice line, he could determine where Zhao Yu's mouse was pointing to. Chapter 709. A small difference. The surrounding players watched the extremely high-level battle, yet without any contact between the two players. They already felt amazed, but in reality, these normal players failed to accurately analyze everything that was going on. The only people who truly understood what had really happened were Yi Shu and Zhao Yuji. Everyone had guessed why Enlightened Lord jumped in place, but they were only half right. Blocking Zhao Yu's cursor was Yi Shu's goal, but if it were just to block the cursor, it wouldn't have been necessary to jump. Glory was played with a first-person perspective. No matter how hard Zhao Yuji tried, he wouldn't be able to see behind Enlightened Lord, let alone trying to wrap around him with his cursor. A dead angle would always exist in some place, even if Zhao Yuji moved Hazy Scene horizontally. That would only cover the previous dead angle. There would just be a different dead angle now that he had moved. Relying on moving around to complete the entire line wasn't possible. The ice line could only be drawn for 3 seconds and a character could only travel so far in those 3 seconds. As a result, if Zhao Yuji wanted to draw his ice line behind Enlightened Lord, he would have to jump. Only by elevating his line of sight would he be able to continue drawing the line behind Enlightened Lord without hitting his body and cut him off from the rest of the players. Yi Shu had Enlightened Lord jump just at this moment. He was using this jump to completely deny Zhao Yuji's chance of jumping and drawing the line behind him. Zhao Yuji was startled when he saw it. Just when he thought of using the difference in timing between their two jumps, Enlightened Lord suddenly activate angel wings to float in midair. Zhao Yuji noticed the wings and immediately changed the ice line's path. He tried to draw the line through the space beneath Enlightened Lord's feet, but then Enlightened Lord cancelled his angel wings not even a second after activating it. Enlightened Lord fell down and he had to change ice line's path again. In this confrontation, there had been several ups and downs. Zhao Yuji displayed his ability to react and adapt. How could it be as simple as Enlightened Lord jumping up and down to block his cursor? After a few exchanges, ice line's cast time reached its end. When Enlightened Lord landed back on the ground, Zhao Yuji tried jumping again to complete the line, but there wasn't enough time left. He could move the mouse cursor very quickly, but he had to do it while moving, which made it that much more difficult. In the end, ice line formed, but when the line reached Enlightened Lord, it suddenly curved as if it feared him. In the eyes of the surrounding players, this wasn't just a defeat for Zhao Yuji, but a very funny defeat. Some of them even started laughing. The laughter was like a slap to Zhao Yu's face. Nothing else but killing God Yi Chu's character would be enough to prove his skill now. However, Enlightened Lord was a cleric, so he definitely wouldn't go to the front lines and would be protected by others instead. Killing him would be very difficult. It had been a rare opportunity to have a chance at separate him from everyone else. Who would have thought that he would be able to escape from ice line without anyone's help? Even though Zhao Yuji was a pro player, who had experienced many battles, he had never seen such terrifying awareness and judgment from someone else before. For a moment, he somewhat in a daze. However, in West Riding Wind's eyes, although Ice Line failed to imprison Enlightened Lord, it still cut off a good portion of people from him. Not utilizing these 12 seconds of time would be a waste. If Zhao Yuji decided to forcefully breaking through in the most troublesome way possible, it was pointless to argue, so he might as well just hurry and take this chance to attack. Charge, West Riding Wind ordered in the group chat. The elite players were still normal players of the highest skill level. They saw this opportunity too. When the order came down, none of them hesitated and started firing all sorts of attacks and spells. Enlightened Lord was standing at the very front, so he naturally bore the brunt of the attacks. In a large-scale battle, everyone just attacked wherever it was convenient to. No one really cared who was who. Yi Shu couldn't ignore 100 people suddenly attacking him. He immediately ran back to his group while healing himself. When facing so many attacks, many people felt like running around in a zigzag was pointless. A straight line would be the best choice. However, Enlightened Lord didn't duck his head and headed straight for his group. He chose a jagged path. After looking at him run for a bit, they saw the reason. Enlightened Lord didn't completely avoid all of the damage, but he dodged the most concentrated attacks. When he rushed back to his group, his health was already red. Then, he said, "Why wasn't anyone healing me? God also needs healing?" Everyone stared blankly. They had been preoccupied with admiring how God would escape from so many attacks that no one had thought of healing him. After hearing his question, everyone suddenly realized how dangerous. If God Yi Chu hadn't chosen to dodge the high-damage attacks with his pathing, he probably would have died already. It seems like even God Yi Chu felt a lot of pressure when facing so many people. They were still thinking about this as the clerics hastily topped up Enlightened Lord's health. Howling Heights had started ferociously attacking them. Zhao Yuji regained his composure. Hazy Scene was fearlessly leading the charge, coordinating his spells with his movements. It almost seemed like his mobile cast was constantly active, when it was actually because of his almost perfect grasp of the rhythm. Zhao Yuji was definitely worthy of bearing the title of Best Rookie. In his eyes, Enlightened Lord was still his main target. When Howling Heights began attacking, Enlightened Lord instantly fell dangerously low. However, Zhao Yuji had been in a daze at that time. When he woke up, he stamped his feet in anger. That was a perfect opportunity to kill Enlightened Lord. To think he would actually miss it. He was the only one to be stunned on his side, but on Enlightened Lord's side, the troops from the three guilds were all also stunned. Enlightened Lord was being chased like mad by 100 players, yet they were just standing there watching him come towards them. Teams 1, 2, 3, and 4 blocked the left side. Elementalists from teams 6, 7, and 8 strengthened the ice line. Everyone else accompanied Little Zhao in charge. West Riding Wind kept on instructing his group. Yi Shu's side instinctively resisted against the other side's charge. However, it went just as West Riding Wind predicted. Apart from Heavenly Justice, the other 3 club guilds stood there. If the other side wanted to leave, then go ahead and leave. Why stop them? West Riding Wind had clearly recognized the small differences between the 4 guilds. The other 3 club guilds wanted to preserve their strength. They didn't want to fight. Heavenly Justice fought against Howling Heights head-on though. Unfortunately, if it was just them, they were slightly weaker than Howling Heights, whether that was in terms of average skill level or average character strength. And neither side really had a strategy in mind in this type of conflict. In just a few short seconds, they had already began clashing. The average player's skill level and character strength eventually became the deciding factor. Heavenly Justice had trouble defending, and Howling Heights soon tore an opening open. Zhao Yu's hazy scene was particularly dazzling. He actually didn't notice that it was because of the enemies weren't participating. He thought he alone was making the decisive difference and blasting open a path through the enemy ranks. Zhao Yuji was quite sharp. Unlike a lot of other players, his attacks weren't random. His attacks were purposeful. They always did damage and his attacks came rapidly too. He really did help Howling Heights gain an advantage. West Riding Wind had an experienced eye. He saw that those 3 guilds were just standing there relaxing and God Yi Chu didn't seem to be doing anything with Heavenly Justice. That was good though. If they really had charged blindly, West Riding Wind was really afraid that Zhao Yuji would see through the issue and make another terrible move. With the way things were going, it should be enough to make up for the blow to that punk's pride, right? Hazy Scene. Hazy Scene. Focus your fire on him. Heavenly Justice didn't seem to understand the situation though. From the battlefield, it was easy to see just how useful he was. They were shouting for everyone to kill him at all costs. Don't stop them. Just attack back a bit and let them go. Yi Shu had given the order a while ago, but the problem was that he could only give the order. He couldn't control everyone's characters. Heavenly Justice had been attacked too fiercely by Howling Heights. It was difficult for them to suddenly stop halfway through. Letting them go was fine, but no one wanted to not put up a fight. If you're low on health, pull back. Knights stand at the front. Healers, heal well. Melee classes scatter to the left and right. Keep backing away as a whole, Yi Shu said. If he couldn't control their characters, he could only give them concrete instructions. His orders and the shouts from everyone else to kill Hazy Scene weren't on the same page. However, killing off Hazy Scene was a suggestion given by someone without authority. It didn't count as a group order. However, Yi Shu's words had the tag group order in the group chat. Words with a title naturally held more weight than the some shouting of random players. Heavenly Justice followed Yi Shu's orders. They immediately restrained their attacks as if they were being pushed back by Howling Heights. West Riding Wind saw the change. For a moment, he wasn't sure if Heavenly Justice was planning on retreating or preparing for a counterattack. In theory, with God Yi Chu leading, it should be the former, right? He was thinking about this, but Zhao Yuji didn't care. The other side was retreating, giving him an opportunity to continue charging forward. Heavenly Justice had thoroughly experienced the might of this best rookie. Seeing him rush over, they started to panic a bit. Zhao Yuji is coming again, countless players cried. Steamed Bun, throw a brick at him, Yi Shu ordered. Yes, sir, Steamed Bun immediately acted. Only the heavens knew where this brawler got a brick, but it had once again come out. Chapter 710. Please sir, get into the boiling pot. The brick whistled by. Zhao Yuji was currently very focused. He didn't dare to slack off even a little. He immediately noticed the brick flying over. He tilted Hazy Scene's head slightly to dodge the brick. Zhao Yuji didn't care who the brick would strike behind him. He found the guy, who launched the brick, among the opposing crowd and immediately fumed. You think I'm easy to bully? You steamed bun. Zhao Yuji was no longer fighting alone. The players from Howling Heights coordinated with his attacks very well. He didn't want to ignore Steamed Bun's provocation. Hazy Scene pointed his staff at Steamed Bun's brawler and fired a spell. The players of Howling Heights beside him instantly matched him and sent over similar attacks. Steamed Bun hastily controlled his brawler to dodge. He looked rather vulgar as he rolled and crawled around. Attacks such as the brawler brick were only mid-ranged attacks and didn't count as a long-ranged attack. In order to throw it, Steamed Bun had to leave his previous position in the formation. It was easy to come out, but difficult to return. With Zhao Yuji making things difficult, Steamed Bun only managed to survive through the desperate efforts of Heavenly Justice's clerics. Zhao Yuji felt so satisfied. He was finally able to fix up the guy who had put him in a sorry situation. He saw Steamed Bun hide behind his allies, while continuing to search for opportunities to throw his brick. Zhao Yuji didn't plan to let him go off just like that. Charge. This was the first time Zhao Yuji coordinated with everyone today. Before, he always fought by himself and waited for the others to coordinate with him. However, in order to take down Steamed Bun, he intended to lead the charge. At this moment, Enlightened Lord appeared on the front lines of the enemy side. When Zhao Yuji saw this, he burst with joy. Compared to the unknown, Steamed Bun, taking down the character of a god was much more exciting. Zhao Yuji itched with impatience and felt regretful for not being a battle mage. Otherwise, he would rush over with a grand and majestic dragon breaks the ranks and give Enlightened Lord a beating. How great would that be? Even though the damage from an elementalist wouldn't lose to any other class, in terms of the satisfaction from a blow, elementalists could enable to compare with close-ranged classes who made waves with every blow. Cover me, Zhao Yuji ordered again. His hand speed increased as he prepared to cast the elementalist skill, Heavenly Lightning Earth and Fire. In such a chaotic scene, he was the only pro player who dared to move his elementalist to the front lines. If he threw Heavenly Lightning into a crowded area, even if it didn't kill anyone, it would still be very thrilling to watch. This was perhaps a feeling of bliss that close-ranged players would never be able to taste. Who would have thought that Heavenly Justice's troops would create a gap in their formation on their own? The dust rolled to the side, and a battle mage rushed over with her spear. Dragon breaks the ranks. Zhao Yuzheng wanted to use this skill just a moment ago. In the end, it was someone from Heavenly Justice who used this skill to greet him. He looked at the ID and realized that it was the person who forced him to burn his teleport, then used Rising Dragon Soars the Sky to kill him. An enemy. Another enemy. Even though Zhao Yuji somewhat lost his cool, he at least knew that he wouldn't be able to use his Heavenly Lightning Earth and Fire. Dragon Breaks the Ranks had higher priority. Even though there were characters standing in front of Hazy Scene, Dragon Breaks the Rank couldn't be stopped by a single person. Wherever it was aimed would surely be the spear's final destination. Even if there were thousands of men and horses, this fact wouldn't change. Give way, Zhao Yuji gave another firm command. Since you want to come, then come. But once you get here, don't even think about leaving. Zhao Yu's reaction speed and APM was quick. Hazy Scene jumped aside as he spoke. However, the players that were standing before him weren't as quick. They had realized it, but were too slow to react. Tang Ru's Dragon Breaks the Ranks headed right their way. Her spear penetrated through their bodies. Even a heavily armored knight wouldn't be able to slow Dragon Breaks the Ranks down in any way. The knight was sent flying at once. If Hazy Scene hadn't dodged, the spear would have directly pierced through him as well. However, Zhao Yuji had predicted this, so he dodged it cleanly. He was taking his time throwing out his spells, while coldly ordering, "Keep him here." Did he need to say that? No one wanted to leave such a reckless person alive. However, the battle mage was the quickest to react. Dragon Breaks the Ranks was a rare high-leveled skill, which had little ending animation lag. Although she pierced the knight in front, she failed to hit Hazy Scene, so Tang Ru cancelled her skill at once. Immediately after the animation ended, her battle mage soon struck out with a falling flower palm. She managed to make a move before everyone else. Once the palm flew out, the unprepared players received the attack and were blasted aside, crashing into those behind them. Howling Heights formation was destroyed by a battle mage's low-leveled skill. Tang Ru's fast hand speed allowed for her character to act quickly. Tyrant's Destruction. Tang Ru's following skills were no longer low-leveled. This was a sweeping skill, which targeted the ankle. When it activated, she managed to sweep a majority of the players away with this skill. When Tang Ru's battle mage used Falling Flower Palm, her left palm pushed out, while her right hand grabbed the end of her spear. She chained this skill after drawing back her hand, so she could swing out her spear after gripping the end. A deep and clear humming sound pierced through the air from behind the battle mage. Tang Ru's Tyrant's Destruction made a 270-degree arc around her. F***CK. Countless people from Howling Heights yelled out. It was unnecessary to mention the range of a sweeping spear. Speaking of a close ranged weapon's length, the spear was definitely the longest. How many ankles did this 270-degree sweep strike? Even Tang Ru didn't know. The Howling Height players who were hit by Falling Flower Palm flew, crashed, tumbled, and fell. However, this was just the beginning. The surrounding players nearby also began to stumble. Those who hadn't fallen yet soon fell. Those who were swept off their feet by Tyrant's Destruction tumbled through the air like flying, spinning tops. Trash! Zhao Yuji shouted out in anger. For an instant, no one knew whether he was challenging the opponent, or criticizing the members of Howling Heights for being useless. Even though his spells hit Tang Ru's battle mage, how high would his damage output be when he fought alone? When Tyrant's Destruction was used, Hazy Scene was now within her attack range, forcing him to move back another step. Zhao Yuji couldn't bear taking a step back from an opponent he didn't respect. He threw out another spell as he shouted. He didn't expect that this battle mage's spear, that came from the left, would suddenly curve upwards towards him. So quick. Zhao Yuji wasn't willing, but he had to admit that this battle mage wasn't weak at all. Compared to Steam Bun, there was less bafflement, but much more ferociousness. She rushed into her opponent's territory, yet she still had spirit to take him down with her spear. Zhao Yuji felt weak facing 100 players alone, but this person in front of him made him feel like, even if there were 100 players blocking her, if she wanted you dead, she would attack despite the odds. Jump back. Zhao Yuji had no other choice. The distance between Hazy Scene and this battle mage would already be considered close. He thought that she would panic after rushing into so many enemies alone, so he hadn't been concerned, but when she arrived, she chained two skills flawlessly and swept away the characters next to him. Afterwards, she immediately closed the distance between herself and his Hazy Scene. I have to kill her. Zhao Yuji felt anger surge through him. When his hazy scene jumped back, he suddenly lost control over his movements and shifted horizontally. Last time he died, he had been moved horizontally too. That time, he had been forced aside by that battle mage's rising dragon soars the sky, but this time, there were no magic undulations around him. Instead, there seemed to be some sort of indistinct force in the surrounding air. Cloud-grasping fist. How could Zhao Yuji not realize by now? If not, then how could he deserve the title of best rookie? When he thought of this move, Zhao Yu's heart immediately sunk. Where was Cloud-grasping fist going to bring him? Did that even need to be said? The other side's sudden one-man charge was a tactic especially for him. And this time, he had been caught once again. Cloud-grasping fist. Everyone was prepared for this skill. In a large-scale battle, where both sides could easily be distinguished from one another, Cloud-grasping fist was a commonly used skill. Everyone knew that if an enemy chi master grabbed you, you were guaranteed to die. As a result, everyone was wary of Cloud-grasping fist. Zhao Yuji hadn't been negligent. However, the enemy battle mage's sudden charge drew most of his attention. He was then isolated by the battle mage and was forced to dodge. Who would have thought that the other side would suddenly make things so difficult for him? Before he even landed on the ground after his jump, he was caught by Cloud-grasping fist. Aren't those all knights in front of him? Where did the chi master come? I don't see any. Zhao Yu's gaze suddenly shifted towards heavenly justice. He looked at Enlightened Lord and then felt the urge to cough blood. How low? If he had seen a chi master nearby, how would he have been so careless? However, Enlightened Lord was standing right in front of the chi master, blocking his view. That was why he hadn't been able to defend against it. Blocking someone was fine, but you're even blocking too? Is that so there were no mistakes? Zhao Yuji thought to himself, but realized that he was wrong. The two chi masters weren't both targeting him. Who else are they grabbing? Zhao Yuji couldn't help but take a quick look around, when he saw that Valiant Battle Mage was also flying back towards Heavenly Justice. However, that battle mage was being rescued, while he was being sent to his death. No one can interrupt them? Zhao Yuji hoped someone would be able to, but when he turned around, he lost all hope. After his allies had been swept away by that battle mage, they were still clambering around. If any one of them could accurately aim an attack and interrupt the other side's cloud-grasping fist, that person would already be on a pro team. The enemy troops formed ring after ring around his landing location. In a short few seconds, they had already prepared a coffin and burial spot for him. F***CK, they even lit up a will-o-wisp for me. Zhao Yuji saw Enlightened Lord lighting up the area with a sacred fire just for him.